We're going to go to item 7.0, public comment right to be heard. We have quite a few. When the Madam Clerk calls for the 30-minute mark, I please ask that each speaker please begin to wrap up their comments so we can move along with the agenda on tonight. Yes, let's get started. Public comment right to be heard. Madam Clerk, you call up.
Sam Wallace.
Sam got pulled by Mary Ann Davidson. Maybe you could go to the next and call her after.
Benjamin Dietz.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. 3 minutes.
Thank you. Last time I spoke was in February. That was my comments, so right now I'm going to read some student comments. And this is in regards to the non-renewals. I'm going to be looking forward to action item 9. Listen to your comments. Here's student testimony. I'm writing this testimony today to express my strong opposition to the potential dismissal of Mix M, an amazing teacher who has impacted my learning experience since I joined this school. While I may have joined later in the school year, the time I've spent with Mix M's classroom has been extremely fun. They have consistently created a fun and engaging learning environment, making every lesson both enjoyable and highly informative. Their dedication to their students' success is shown through their constant helping and answering students' questions. Mix M is not just an amazing teacher, they are truly a creative one. They consistently build on effective practices that we have learned so far that have significantly helped me and my classmates improve our English skills. From challenging us to identify and correct grammar errors in sentences to helping us create argumentative essays, they have a marvelous ability to break down complex concepts into simple steps. Beyond their effective teaching strategies, Mix M has been a constant source of support and encouragement. They create a classroom where students feel comfortable trying new things, asking questions, and learning from their mistakes. I do personally think that Mix M should stay as a teacher, and I have a strong belief that Mix M being fired isn't benefiting anyone in our school based on their style of teaching and support of their students. Mix M has had such a positive impact on me and many other students. They were a huge part of the school's musical. They didn't just help, they led with so much passion and energy and made rehearsals fun, but still focused. And they helped bring out the best in every single one of us. Even students who were shy or unsure gained confidence because of the encouragement and support. They are also the kind of teacher who truly listens, understands, and treats every student with kindness. They made school feel like a place where we could express ourselves and grow. Sam's not just a great teacher, Sam's one of the people who make this school feel like home. Mix M has made a big difference at our school, even for students that aren't in their classes like me. I got to know them through the school's musical, and from the beginning, they were always encouraging, organized, and positive. They helped make everything run smoothly and made us feel like our hard work mattered. They showed up for us, not just to help put on a great show, but to cheer us and help with important things like making our costumes. Even though Mix M is not my English teacher, I've heard how much students enjoy their class and how they make learning easier to understand. A lot of students feel supported and more confident in their writing and reading because of them. Okay, they're a pretty cool teacher. They tries a lot to make students have a good day. Mix M works super hard every single day to make things right. This is a Del Sesto 8th grader. And I have time for one more. They have a high support for people, and Sam is very kind to me and appreciate them for being there for me with my passion for art. And I had them for 3 years, and I feel bad for them for losing their role as a librarian. Make Sam help me through my whole art career, hoping that I won scholarship at PPAC, and with their help I won it. Without their help I wouldn't have had a good experience with my 6th, 7th, and 8th grade years. Del Sesto 8th grader, thank you.
Thank you.
Deborah Levy.
Hi everyone.
3 minutes.
Thanks. I also spoke at the board meeting in February, but I'm here to reiterate, and especially considering that the same thing I spoke about is still an ongoing issue. There we go. Thank you. So my name is Deborah Levy, I'm a Providence resident. I'm also speaking to ask the district to reinstate the non-renewed teachers. And I also work for the Community Libraries of Providence. My role specifically is working with the school librarians and working to connect our public libraries with the school libraries. Obviously in this role I see the importance of having fully staffed schools and having qualified teachers in those roles. And I especially have worked closely with Sam Wallace throughout my time in this position, and they're without a doubt one of the most passionate, engaged, and supportive school librarians that we have. Their role in my work with the public libraries, as well as the way that I see the impact they have on their students, makes such a huge difference, as you just heard in those student testimonials. I also, like I said, just see that we need to keep educators who care about our students, and it seems like from my personal knowledge of Sam and from what I've heard about these other two educators that that's the case with them. I think we all know that we have a high reliance on subs and on other people filling in the district, on the specialist teachers being pulled to fill in as classroom teachers. And so it seems like it's very important to keep people who know their students, who know their classes very well in those classrooms, and whose students have a high level of trust for them, especially school librarians. We also all know that school libraries are under attack around the country. It's really important for us to have qualified school librarians who care a lot about what materials they have in their library and ensuring kids access to safe and educational materials. I know that we have multiple schools in the district right now that have someone in the library role who's not a certified librarian, who hasn't gone through that training to be able to do that. So it seems disappointing to me that we're taking out a school librarian who is qualified, who's gone through that training, who has a master's degree to be a school librarian, and who is very qualified to be able to provide that knowledge to middle school students.
30 seconds.
Thank you. And I guess the last thing I want to say is I know that the district has cited poor performance, poor evaluations, et cetera, for the reasons that these teachers are not being renewed. I think that if that is the case, those educators deserve to see the details of why they're not being renewed so that they can continue to grow in their careers. They deserve detailed feedback about why exactly they're not being asked to come back next year. Although in general, I find that really hard to believe because of what I know, again, of Ms. Wallace personally and of the other teachers, what I've heard about them. So overall, our district should be fostering good teachers, and I hope that you'll consider reinstating these three.
Thank you so much. Madam Clerk, I believe we have Sam back. If we could just go shoot back up to get Sam and go down to Chris Reed.
My name's Sam Wallace. I use they, them pronouns. I'm a Providence resident. Happy to be a Providence educator. Y'all, this week we had words night for the 8th graders. It was my first class of kids that I got to teach. Ben got to read a testimony from one of my kids who got an art scholarship. He said he had me all 3 years, and he totally didn't. He did not have me this year. And I was like, did I have you in class? Did I forget about you? I said I would not. I wrote a thing today, so I would be focused. I can't tell you how heartbreaking it is to watch the dismemberment of my school community. The class of 2026 does not deserve the education that PPSD has put upon them. And by that I mean they deserve an education founded in respect, not shame, punishment, pushing out teachers, gaslighting. As Del Sesto, our soccer coach, has been displaced. Y'all, we've been winning titles. He's gone. Our school culture coordinator role, who runs our food pantry, and our family support roles have been cut, despite the fact that the district is posting for literacy positions set at around $100,000 a piece. I want to let folks know that these folks that are cut are bilingual. We need this. We have right now that we know of 3 families that are impacted by ICE detentions. This is huge. We need these people. We have an incredible Del Sesto community, and we are incredible despite all these challenges. The defunding of our staff, the out-of-touch goals created by our CSIP. One of our CSIP goals is a family engagement score. That means we have to have a family engagement score higher than any school in Rhode Island. And yet we keep winning. The picture wasn't posted by the school district, but Del Sesto won the Battle of the Books competition. Shout out to my wonderful students. Our Isaac Hopkins friends who joined us in a Del Hopkins combo team. And those familiar with Del Sesto will be familiar with the unbelievably kind, caring educator, Miss Kai, who has spent over 20 years at Del Sesto, who will also not be staying at Del Sesto, and this is also not her choice. It's the time of year where students start asking, are you coming back next year? Are you excited? And we keep having to have this conversation. No, I lost my job. No, I don't know why. No, nothing happened. I'm really fighting hard to be your librarian. I really want to be here. It's always heartbreaking to have a colleague leave the district, but it's especially heartbreaking that people who want to stay and who want to be here not be able to stay. This spring, it has felt like the pillars of Del Sesto have been intentionally cut down. We have someone who is out on leave, who I hope is watching from the live stream, who has historically run every single 8th grade event, from t-shirts, yearbooks, trips, awards night, you name it. And I also want to give a shout out to Brandy. Hi Brandy, who can't be here. My evaluations have been good. I had a 2.9 my first year. They tell you, aim for a 2, aim for a 3. I am 1/10 of a point away from highly effective this year. I'm really, really good at my job. I'm on student safety plans for 6th graders who are worried about their safety in school. When they go to 7th grade, who will they have?
Thank you.
Chris Reed.
Yeah, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. In 3 minutes, okay?
Hi, my name is Chris Reed, and I moved to Providence about a year ago with the intention of becoming a full-time sub and eventually a certified teacher. In reality, I subbed in PPSD for less than a month, and I'd like to explain why. So I moved here with a master's in English and 2 years of teaching experience at the college level, more than 5 years experience tutoring high school. Here's what I imagined would happen when I signed up to sub in this district. I imagined I would get placed at the high school level, get some basic amount of training, and get paid $200 a day, which is what the posting I applied to said. Here's what actually happened. First, I got ghosted for 2 weeks following my hiring decision. Then I got called into the admin building where I was informed of 3 things. 1, that my social security number had probably just been stolen by hackers. 2, that I would be making $130 a day because the posting was from last year, which by the way, that's a 35% pay cut. And 3, that I would be subbing at the elementary level, despite my complete lack of experience with young kids. I asked if they were sure about this, and they said, yep, that's where the need was. So then, when I was finally able to sign up for shifts, I signed up for a half day, thinking that would be a good way to start learning the job, right? I've never taught a 2nd grade class before. Unlike some people, I was never even told I couldn't sign up for half days. I just showed up, introduced myself at the main office, and had to learn from the staff that apparently they said, if you sign up for a half day, you can't get paid. Thankfully, they were really nice about it and placed me in another classroom for the second half of the day. Except then, so I worked the full day, but then 2 weeks later, when my tiny first paycheck showed up, it was even tinier than it was supposed to be. They paid me for half a day. So to be clear, they're lying. They can pay you for half a day, they just don't want to. I still have yet to get those $65 that the district owes me. I went home too exhausted to talk after every day of work. I got absolutely no training and no support within the buildings. In fact, one of the only teachers who went out of their way to welcome me to the district was Sam, everybody's favorite librarian, who was promptly non-renewed. It's unbelievable to me. These good, kind, dedicated, hardworking teachers behind me could do a way better job running this district, but instead you fire them without an explanation. So I've heard you're planning to increase our pay to $180 a day next year. That's great, but that's still less than we made the year before, and it's way less than we need to get by. You pay your administrators hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to sit around not answering our phone calls. Why can't you pay to keep your best teachers and to give the most vulnerable, stressed out workers in your district something better than a poverty wage? Or even just some basic training, communication, and support. Until you do, you're going to keep losing the subs and teachers who can't be bothered or simply can't afford to suffer for a district that ignores them.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Daniel Kettridge.
Three minutes, okay?
Good evening. My name is Dan Kittredge. I'm here speaking as a Providence resident, again. I'm here to speak in support of Sam Wallace and all of the educators here fighting against non-renewals. First, I would like to thank the members of the school board who have already spoken up in defense of these educators and to encourage the board to unanimously oppose their firings. By now, at this point on the third meeting where we've talked about this, many other speakers have pointed out, but I think it's important to continue to do so, how disturbing it is that so many of the very few non-binary educators at PPSD have been targeted for non-renewal. Throughout the various reports from RIDE and the district since the state takeover, top officials have repeatedly stressed a desire to do more to ensure that our education staff reflects the makeup of our community here in Providence. Yet here we see RIDE and district leadership doing exactly the opposite of what they claim to want by disproportionately attacking the small group of LGBTQ educators PPSD currently has. How can any non-binary student see this as anything but a dismissal of their identity? Mission statements are great, but actions are what matter. And PPSD's actions fly in the face of their claims of supporting a diverse workforce. Perhaps even worse is that the district leadership is clearly being dishonest about the reasons for these terminations. The district has claimed these teachers are being non-renewed in order to seek more qualified candidates for their positions. The district has over 100 vacancies, including multiple vacant librarian positions. Firing high-quality educators like those currently facing non-renewals, teachers and librarians who have won awards and received an enormous outpouring of support from their students cannot possibly be viewed as an attempt to seek higher quality staff. The choice to fire these educators, and I stress the choice, rather than to fill empty positions, shows a disturbing disregard for the district's own stated principles and for the learning experience of all students in the district. The fact that many of these educators are outspoken advocates in their union points us to the likely underlying motivation behind these non-renewals, which is perhaps even worse. Providence is a city that was built by union labor and knows that strong unions are what secures a strong middle class and a future for working people. Targeting non-binary teachers for their union advocacy under the flimsy pretense that there are somehow more qualified applicants in a district that cannot fill open positions is disgraceful and insulting to the people of this city. So I would like to thank the school board for being the one government body that does seem to at least believe in democracy and community control, while RIDE and the district offices continue to ignore the demands of hundreds of community members that these educators be granted due process and these non-renewals be rescinded. I deeply appreciate this board for listening to the voice of the people and voting to stand with us. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Cecilia Retta. I am a constituent of School Board Region 1 and I serve as a substitute teacher in PPSD. I am here to call for change in how substitutes are treated by the district. We fill a vital role in the education of students in Providence, and yet we are not treated as vital by the system. As a sub, I have been granted unique access to every single high school in PPSD. I know all the administrative teams firsthand. I know the cultural differences between schools and departments. That is perspective no one else has not even your full-time teachers, and that is value that the district should invest in. Furthermore, subs fill the holes when the structure is weakest. Subs are as versatile and flexible as it gets. And we do all of this without any kind of consistent management. Imagine going to work every single day and not knowing who you will report to, having no one to call when you need to ask a question. Imagine HR ignoring your calls for weeks on end. I've been through too many days without a schedule and without a bathroom break. I've been in long-term roles without a curriculum, without access to email, computers, or internet. These are not working conditions in which you can expect to retain caring, hard-working, effective educators dedicated to the good of the students. I work hard every single day I'm in a classroom because of my own values as an educator, not because PPST has ever given me any kind of training. When I sub, I stick to my subjects of expertise, which are art and English, but I have also spent my own unpaid time to help students with I've studied on my own, to help students with their geometry, their algebra, social studies, statistics, history, vital subjects. You cannot stop learning because your teacher is out for 2 days, or 2 weeks, or 2 months, or longer. But the system is not set up to support education during teacher absence. This is the direct result of administrative disorganization, lack of accountability, and an unsettling disconnect between the people making decisions and the people actually in the classroom. Substitutes low pay is a problem because when you pay people like their job doesn't matter, they start to believe that their job doesn't matter. The absence of communication and transparency is a problem because when no one knows who is responsible, nothing gets done, nothing improves, nothing changes. My asks are simple. Pay substitute teachers a competitive living wage. $180 a day is not enough. Make the budget transparent. Give subs the resources, and the acknowledgement that you would expect any employee you hope to retain. I would challenge every single school board member to spend a day as a substitute to see what it's actually like.
Promethea Carroll.
Promethea. 3 minutes.
All right, so I'm reading related to student testimony stuff. So I am speaking about the Del Sesto Middle School. This year, the students at Del Sesto put on a production of Beauty and the Beast. They spent months and an unbelievable amount of hours to make this happen. And for the entire production, there were only 4 adults, right, responsible for the entirety of the success. 2 of those adults were Em Schluter and Sam Wallace. Sam was one of the head directors, and Em created all of the costumes. Sam rehearsed 4 hours per week. Em and Sam spent many times that amount each week. They would stay anywhere from 1 to 2 hours after rehearsal to continue working on costumes, props, right, sets, and logistics. They spent many hours on multiple Saturdays each month at Del Sesto, outside of rehearsal time, continuing the work necessary to make the musical successful. A few years ago, when Del Sesto put on Moana, the musical, 6 adults contributed and led the musical. This year, there were 4. And to be clear, the quality of the musical, right, matched or even exceeded previous productions, right? Please consider that at the same time, Em and Sam were teaching full class loads, doing coverage during their preps, and fighting for their jobs in front of this very board. And as if this weren't enough, Em was continuing their graduate classwork, and Sam was organizing in our community to keep students and their families safe. Consider just how dedicated you have to be to your school and your students to put in over 100 hours to a school that you have been fired from. For Em and Sam, the joy and excitement of students was enough. When the final performance concluded, the students involved were so overjoyed they wanted more. They know that Sam and Em have been fired. They know that because that there is no guarantee there will ever be another musical. Without both of them, Beauty and the Beast would have never have happened at all. And if these non-renewals stand, there will almost certainly be no musical at Del Sesto next year. Our students deserve the opportunities that Sam and Em provide. Their non-renewals remove these opportunities that these students do not get anywhere else. Our students deserve better, and they deserve Sam and Em in the classroom. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeffrey Solon.
Hey, Jeffrey.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, good. You have 3 minutes, man.
Yeah, I got it. Good evening. My name is Jeff Solwan, and I am a substitute teacher for the Providence Public Middle Schools. And anyone who has an 11 to 14-year-old child knows just how difficult this job can be. Now retired, I have had many jobs through the years. I have been a bike messenger in New York City, a global IT manager for a major investment bank in London, and more recently, a counselor to adolescent males with PTSD-related diagnoses. This job is, in many respects, the most difficult job I have ever had. Not to mention, one of the most important jobs I've ever had. In the year and a half that I've been doing this, I have seen a boy pick up a chair and hit a girl full on, slamming her against the wall. I have seen serious fights between both boys and girls. Several times I have been threatened with bodily harm by a 12-year-old. Most days I spend entire classes pleading with children to sit down and be quiet. As a substitute, I have no power to consequence misbehaving children. The most I can do is call an understaffed office and ask for help, which often never comes. All of this took me completely by surprise. I was not told what to expect, nor given any strategies or tools to handle this. At the end of the day, I exchange exhausted and beleaguered smiles with other subs and full-time teachers. I have tremendous respect for these full-time men and women who show up each day to teach our children. During the morning address in every school, every day I hear the word respect. The children are told to respect each other and to respect their teachers. However, I have never felt so disrespected as I did when I received, in August of 2024, a letter from PTSD informing me that for the 2025 school year, my day rate would be cut from $200 a day to $130 a day. As mentioned before, that is a pay cut of 35%. The timing of the letter was even more egregious than the 35% pay cut. It left me with no time to look for an alternative employment. I work to supplement my retirement income, and that is mostly to pay my son's utility bills in Brooklyn. I can only imagine how difficult this was for those depending on the job for a more substantial part of their income. We need to do better. Shame on you.
Your son, Oliver.
Hi, my name is Yosan Almu, and I'm a Providence community member and graduate student here. I'm going to be reading a student testimony. Dear School Board, us students really don't want Max, Sam, and Em to leave. They are the reasons kids want to go to library and English classes. The main reason my writing is so good and why I can write full essays and paragraphs is because of them. When I'm sad, I get cheered up by them. They have so much patience and are so kind, so please consider taking them back and not firing them.
Thank you.
Kate Jones.
Sorry.
Can I submit something to you first?
Absolutely.
It's my fuller testimony that I can't read and also some data.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to point to this at some point, but anyway. Hi, I'm Kate Jones. I'm a per diem middle school sub in PPSD. I live in Region 3. Board Member Silverio, I voted for you. I'm here to reaffirm my solidarity with our beloved non-renewed teachers and to decry the unjust 35% pay cut that substitutes in the district were inconsistently and quite frankly chaotically notified of 2 business days before school started. I and my colleagues want and deserve a fair and livable wage that at minimum equals our previous pay rate, reflecting our dignity and the vital part we play to support the overall health and functionality of the PPSD ecosystem. Benefits would also be great. Board members and Superintendent Montañez, you need subs. And NBC 10 reported in mid-March, you've lost 139 of them this year. For a time, I've had to cut my more personal anecdotes as well as the countless ways subs support students, staff, and the health of the PPSD ecosystem, which hopefully is obvious and others have talked about, because I feel the need to stress some material realities for us in general. Previously, we made $200 per day as per diem subs. As of August, it's sunk to $130 per day, as we've talked about. This year, many subs have also been forced to work coverage during our unassigned periods, essentially working more hours for way less money. The Projo published yesterday that PPSD is raising the daily rate to $180 per day, which is an improvement, but it will still be $20 a day below our previous wage, and it's still not nearly enough to live on. We don't have benefits. A lot of our paycheck goes to taxes. Many of us have to have additional jobs to make ends meet. We don't get paid holidays or sick days, though we could if we were absorbed into the Providence Teachers Union, for which there is precedent in cities like Boston or wall-to-wall unions in states like Maryland, Maine, and Washington. As the poster here shows, if someone subbed every school day this year, they would only reach $30,000 gross income. That's rounded. According to a Redfin report, the income required to be able to afford rent Providence in 2024 was $85,800, which is truly an outrageous amount. I wish we had more time to get into. But for subs, that's a $55,000 gap. Next school year, the new rate would bring us to $32,400 for the year if we subbed every day, an insubstantial increase and still way below what it costs to house ourselves. Now, PPSD may expect subs to work summer jobs. Side note, we can't collect unemployment like seasonal workers, but the average hourly wage for a summer job in Rhode Island is approximately $15.56 per hour. Spoiler, we still can't afford rent. PPSD won a $15 million lawsuit against the city of Providence just in November of 2024 for back pay they were owed. Superintendent Montañez, you said, quote, "The agreement has positioned PPSD for greater stability and future success." Excuse me. What does that stability and success look like to you? How are those funds going to be allocated? There are surely many places where funds are directly needed in the district, including and not limited to retaining and properly compensating teachers who are being non-renewed before they reach the 3-year mark. But I'm just pointing out, don't forget the subs, because again, you need us.
Thank you.
Stefan DePippo.
Hey,
And 3 minutes.
thanks. My name is Stefan DePippo. I am a community member. I am a former PPSD educator, and I am a former PPSD student. I graduated from Classical 2003. I went to Nathan Bishop. I went to E.W. Flynn, which is no longer even there. First, I want to say I appreciate that the first thing you did today was celebrate the young people and their accomplishments. That's the only reason any of us are here right now. I do want to point out that there's so many students that slip through the cracks that nobody ever acknowledges, that don't get the services they need. There's so many unmet material needs these students face as an obstacle, and they show up to school and they're treated and they're reduced to a test score as their value of humanity. And I think that's terrible. So I hopefully you have something going on to help those kids that show up and they're not agreeable. And maybe they have the whole world that they show up to. Maybe they went to school during a pandemic. Maybe their home life is a mess and they show up to school and they get no support. So I was at Mount Pleasant once, and they have like liaisons. They have like a position there as a liaison. And I could tell that a lot of these students, these liaisons, are one of the few people that they feel seen by, they feel supported by, and they feel safe with. And I was watching during passing once as the principal told one of the liaisons, "You're not here to be friends with these kids." So this is the culture that is being bred in these schools. So I've been a substitute, well, I started February 2021. And when I got hired, they said, contact a certain person who shall remain nameless. Contact her for placement. I call her up. She literally says, I gotta take a 30, 45-minute break. Let me take a 30, 45-minute break and I'll call you back. And I said, okay, sounds good, knowing full well she would not call me back. And lo and behold, she did not. So I called her back, I got placed. They said, yeah, you'll get a tour, you'll talk to some of the administrators, they'll show you around. What do you want to sub in? I said, anything but math, I'm useless in a math class. I show up, they gave me a Chromebook, they put me in a math class. And the support never picked up from there. I lost access to my email almost within a month or two, and after several emails to my admin contact, after years of emails to my admin contact, never had access to my email. I'll just read what I wrote. I started February 2021. I just tendered my resignation 2 weeks ago. Overall, I received practically no support from the administration.
30 seconds.
Oh boy. Time flies when you're ranting. I'll just share the anecdote then. The only time I got a response from my admin contact, I showed up to work a half day at Mount Pleasant. And I go there, and the lead clerk there, Michelle Sylvia, who's lovely to work with, she's always on top of everything. I show up, she says, oh, Mr. DePippo, you're not supposed to be here today. I said, what do you mean? The shift didn't get canceled. She says, oh, call your contact. So I call my contact, it rings. It goes to voicemail. I leave a voicemail, explain the situation. I tell Michelle. Michelle calls up this contact, picks up in one ring. So the culture administratively is clearly avoidance. I hope you celebrate the successes of the students, but do everything you can to catch those kids before they fall through the cracks.
Thank you.
Ariana Kuhn.
Will you all in 3 minutes, okay?
My name is Ariana Kuhn, and I am a community member and a graduate student. So I will be today reading a student testimony. So this here says, Dear School Board and Superintendent Montanus, since you fired M. Schluter and Sam Wallace, I would like to tell you a few reasons why not to fire them for good. The first reason being M. Schluter helping all of them fabulous students, even if they're not feeling the best. The second reason is that M. Schluter always gives reasons on how not to give up and to persevere with anything, and also not to ever give up. The third reason is that M. Schluter gives all their perseverance into their students. They also help students with their problems if they are having any. If they do not have any problems, they will talk to that student and have that student talk to the counselor. So now I'm going to give you reasons why you shouldn't fire Sam Wallace. The first reason being Sam Wallace helping all their students with anything like work, etc. The second reason being Sam Wallace is the main reason why the school has all these fun events. The third reason being if any students have improvements, they will give them a reward. If they don't have any improvement, Sam will help their students to improve. These reasons show why you should not fire Sam Wallace and M. Schluter. Sincerely, blank, at Del Sesto Middle School in Providence, Rhode Island.
Thank you.
Andrew Ohm.
Hey, Andrew. Hi. All right, you have 3 minutes.
Reading some student testimony. Dear School Board, Nick Sam is the best librarian and everyone in every grade loves them. Firing them for tenure is unfair and extremely weird since it isn't an actual reason. Every student, including me, would be extremely grateful if they continue teaching here along with Nick's end. They taught my brother, and she was one of his favorite teachers because of how kind they were to him. You're hurting us by firing them. The reason for it is also extremely unfair. Dear Providence School Department, I have heard and have been told that you have decided to fire 2 of my favorite teachers, Ms. Sam and Ms. M, and I have a concern that you fired them because they are non-binary. Please rehire them. This is really messed up. Del Sesto, 6th grade. Ms. Sam is a high-quality teacher because they make sure their students are having fun and take care of us like if we were their kids. They are so sweet and lovable, and it would be a shame if they were fired for no exact reason since they did nothing wrong. Instead of focusing on firing 2 amazing teachers, focus more on how the district treats us as people. Especially with current problems in the world involving deportation situations, I ask the people making this decision to choose wisely and think about the reality without these 2 amazing and sweet teachers. Another Del Sesto 6th grade.
Thank you.
Brian Peters. And Schluter.
Thank you. Good evening. My name's Ryan Peters. I just wanted to speak on behalf of McSam and put on record some of the history of the Del Sesto Library as it had gone through recent construction over the past several years. So this is a place where I think clearly, in my opinion, Sam's time at Del Sesto, has been a mix of challenges, but I think challenges that they really shine through. But it's also a place where there's been a lot of clear misalignment between the school needs, professional best practices, and the district's expectations and goals. Sam applied to become the school librarian after that job had been posted for 30 days with no applications for the 2022-23 school year. And previously, Del Sesto had not had a librarian since prior to COVID. To fill this need, this clear need that they saw in the school, Sam enrolled in a master's program at URI, studied and passed the praxis with an above average score, I will note, and started their first year teaching while they were in grad school, and reopening this library after it had been closed for several years. Over that time, it had been essentially used as a storage closet, so you can imagine it was full of spare furniture, masks, sanitizing wipes, all kinds of things. And the collection there was extremely old, right? The average age of those books was 1998, which is over 25 years old at this point. I know it doesn't seem that long, but it is. And so Sam over the years has gone through this work of buying books using a combination of scholastic dollars, their personal funds, coordinating with retired librarians to get book donations, running GoFundMe campaigns. And I think the success there is that they've now brought that average age up to 2000. So, at least in the current century. But a library is not just a one and done thing, right? Like this library construction, as it's been talked about in past testimonies, it really came with no warning. There was no timeline. There was no indication of when it was going to start or when it was going to end. In that time, Sam, while again being a first-year teacher, had to find a classroom to put the entire collection in, find their own classroom space where they could teach, where they could store their items.
30 seconds.
So I will say in the last 30 seconds, because I'm not nearly close to being done, Sam has continued to run whole school programs through this, has effectively run a library off of a cart for a year and a half. To provide students with access to those books with no clear guidance from the district. And when that library was reopened, they were given, they were required to submit plans for the renewal of that library, which is not something that other librarians are asked to do, and without any sort of clear guidance. So thank you guys.
Thank you. I just want to, so we're past the 30-minute mark. We have quite a few more people coming up for public comment. So I want to make a motion to extend public comment on today. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion been made by the
Seconded.
chairman, seconded by Dr. Williamson. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any noes, any abstentions? Motion passes. Madam Clerk.
Pam Schluter.
Well, once again, I'm talking about me. I'm so sorry. Alright, so this year as an educator, I exceeded my student learning objectives. My combined chronic and not chronic students demonstrated 55.9% typical growth and 19.6 stretch growth. If I filter by not chronic students, as the interim principal asked me to do, there is a 60.8% typical growth and a 21.5 stretch growth. When we began the school year, 73% of my students were 3 or more grade levels behind. As of their EOI, this dropped to 60%. That's a 13% decrease. 2 grades below rose from 8% to 12, 1 grade rose from 11 to 13, and finally, the number of students at mid or above grade level rose from 5% to 11%. I'm extremely proud of my students. They worked so hard this year to just do, they're amazing. Like, I cannot speak clearly enough about them. They're just amazing, and they've worked so hard, and they deserve all the recognition. But with data like this, how am I a bottom 5% teacher, as the district claimed at the March meeting? I scored effective on my standard 4 evaluation with a final rating of 347. My first year I was developing with 246. Everything for my standard 4 scoring this year was either a 3 or a 4. If I'm truly this bottom 5% teacher, I don't believe that I'd be receiving multiple effective evaluations that I've had on all year, or been able to help my students achieve the growth that they did. So does the board or PPSC have the data to show the average effective ratings for first, second, and third year teachers? With each passing day, it becomes more and more clear that someone had an agenda, and that is why I was not renewed. The principal never observed me teach a lesson. The transformation officer never observed me teach a lesson. Yet I'm still not renewed by someone who's never stepped foot into my room to see what I do. In this last week of school, I had to field so many questions from my students asking me if I'm going to be back next year, if I've got my job back, and it feels like I have to let them down each time I tell them no. This week, I got to watch my first 5th grade cohort graduate from the 8th grade and accept awards for their various achievements. Next year, my first group of 6th graders are going to be going into the 8th grade. My students this year are nervous about navigating the 7th grade next year. And instead of getting to support my students and my students knowing that they have a trusted teacher in their building, I'm still here fighting for my job. I'm not going to stop fighting for my students because they deserve someone in their corner. And that's incredibly important to me that they have the support, but something needs to happen.
Thank you.
Lexi Schnitzer.
And 3 minutes, okay?
Okay, let me get my Google Doc up. My name is Lexi Schnitzer, and I am a Providence resident, former AmeriCorps City Year volunteer for Carl G. Laurel Elementary School, and a current child care provider. I'm testifying again on the need for support and resources for trans and non-binary students and staff. It has been 112 days since I last sat in front of you for this, and you have still neglected to take action. I'm outraged and sad for my friend M, who so badly just wants their job. According to a study done by Pew Research Center, 82% of teachers say that the overall state of public K-12 has gotten worse in the last 5 years. M is fighting for this job even though it's so tough to be a teacher. To stand in front of the school board multiple times and explain why they deserve their job, shame on you for letting it come to this. Giving M the runaround for months until the school year is over, while they continue to teach, go to grad school, and help with extracurriculars, and still don't know the future of their career, shameful. They continue to show up, despite there not being enough time in the day for lesson planning and grading, despite covering for other classrooms due to understaffing, and wants to work here despite it all. Was any research on the repercussions of non-renewing LGBTQ+ teachers done? If not, shame on you. If there was, well, M was still non-renewed, so shame on you. It's nothing new to not hire or to non-renew LGBTQ+ teachers, and it's very visible what PPSD is up to. Was any thought put into these decisions? It's disturbing. Thank goodness for our LGBTQ+ teachers. I wish I had an M when I was in middle and high school. Maybe I wouldn't have spent as much time feeling so anxious if I knew it was okay to be me and that other people were like me. Maybe I wouldn't have been so terrified of people knowing I had a girlfriend. Maybe I would have found a safe space at school after I came out and my parents didn't accept me. These are what ifs that students today should never have to ask themselves. When we show support and care towards our LGBTQ+ teachers, we are showing our students that they matter. I don't want any student to feel alone like I was made to feel. Their voice, the way they identify, is all valued. We need to do better. As I stated last time I spoke, this is an attack on gender identity. It's a flimsy political statement that is neither fair, just, or legal. It's long past time for you to do the right thing. Renew M, Brandy, and Sam for another year. Thank you again for your consideration of these matters.
Thank you.
Sam Weissman.
Hey, Sam. I have 3 minutes, okay?
Reading testimony from students. I really want them to stay in the school. They are fun and nice, they care. They are so cool and I love them. Every time that I hurt myself, they always help me. When I'm sad, both of them, when I look sad, they always make sure that I'm okay. Mix Sam, are the best teachers I've ever had. And Mix M is Mix Sam, are the best teachers I've ever had. And I want Mix Sam to stay because I want the next year. I want them next year, and I want them to stay because they're very nice. And if a kid is mad or sad, they always talk to them and make them feel comfortable. They're such good teachers, I can't even explain how much I love them. I really hope they get to stay here. They are actually the best teachers I honestly met. So if the school board is reading this, please let them stay. Miss M is one of our favorite teachers. They're funny, make learning fun, and helps us in many things that I'm not sure we understand items are worth. If they don't teach here anymore, we will be extremely devastated. They're the favorite teacher of many students. Miss M didn't do anything wrong, and they don't deserve to get fired over nothing. Miss M loves their job and loves us, and they don't want to lose us. I cried, almost cried, just at the thought of losing their job. Firing them is like a stab to the student's back. We all love Miss M, so why fire them over a silly 10 years, which is extremely unfair? Please don't fire Miss M. Dearest school board, I was very sad to hear that 2 of my favorite teachers, Ms. Schuler and Ms. Sam, were fired. They are both amazing, helpful, and supportive teachers. They both help in so many ways, from giving extra help on assignments or helping with problems with other students. They are both a safe space for me and many other students. They both care about me and every other student.
30 seconds.
They're trying to get rehired because how much they care. So me and the other students at Del Sesto decided to try to help. I started school late after being homeschooled for years, and immediately Mix Sam helped me feel less nervous. Mix M helps me so much when I'm confused on work or anything. They both deserve to work here, and And if they're not here next year, everyone will be so sad and it won't be the same. Please rehire them.
Thank you.
Helen Rockwell.
Yeah, Keely.
And 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Keely Rockwell, and I'm a social studies teacher at Hope High School. I first want to express my support to the substitute educators in the room who are fighting for the working conditions they deserve. Especially in our current conditions when vacancies are the norm, our school buildings cannot run without high-quality substitutes, and they need wages, benefits, and support that reflect the hard work they put in for our students. I encourage you to advocate on their behalf. I'm also here tonight to continue to advocate for our non-renewed educators, especially Em, Brandy, and Sam, to receive the justice they deserve. As you're all aware, Em, Brandy, and Sam have been searching for answers since they received their non-renewal notices in February. They have not been provided with any evidence to explain their non-renewals. They've received the runaround for months around the process to appeal, and they are just now, 4 months later, receiving a session from the school board. And there's no telling how long they will have to wait for their next hearing from RIDE. During this time, they've been forced to carry on as normal. They have shown up for their students. Brandy coached the Webster basketball team this winter, while Sam and directed Del Sesso's musical, which you've heard about, in addition to all the other work that excellent teachers do. They have shown up to advocate for themselves here and elsewhere, testifying and mobilizing the community to help them achieve justice. And they have done all this while they have watched their jobs get filled, while their administrators refuse to acknowledge them, and while they wait for someone to finally act on their behalf. This treatment they have endured should sound disturbing to anyone, but is especially disturbing to me as a civics teacher. We are all watching the devolution of due process across the country. I think most of us in Providence think we are better than that, and yet we are again watching PPSD and RIDE act as authoritarian bodies unaccountable to the community. The tactics they have used, delaying and moving hearings, failing to provide evidence, obscuring who is responsible to make decisions, are the same ones they've used multiple times, including against families at Broad Street, Laurel, and 360. There are clear violations of due process and transparent governance, and we have allowed them to get away with it for far too long. We are doing everything we can to fight for what is right, what is fair, and what is just for our students. The community has made it clear that they are against the non-renewals of these proven, high-quality educators. If we are to truly believe that Providence is better than that, we need to put our words into motion and to act. I hope that you will recommend to RIDE to rescind the non-renewals, and that we will continue to hold RIDE accountable until Em, Brandy, and Sam have their jobs back. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Indiana Jones.
Okay, and 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Emiliana Jones. I was a PPSD student. I'm a community member, and I graduated from Classical High School. Before I read this student testimony, I just want to say how important it is for students to learn from people that they can relate to and that they like. If they do not like their teachers, they are not going to learn. And I can be a definite example of that. So I can read these testimonies. Miss M is an amazing teacher. She is an amazing teacher for these reasons. They teach us what we need for the next grade. They teach us how to be respectful and to respect people. Miss M is also very respectful to us and their peers / co-workers. I'm very upset that they might lose their job. Please don't fire them. They are an amazing teacher and the best teacher. Miss M is the sweetest teacher ever. They were one of the only teachers that helped me when I was getting bullied and being called homophobic slurs. And Miss M would do anything for their students. They also listen to you when you talk, unlike some other teachers. If you are in trouble, Miss M will help. They care for the students in this school. I think firing them would be a huge mistake. I think Miss Sam should keep their job because they are nice and that they would do anything for people to make them happy. And for Miss M,
they are also the same as McSam, and that they really know how to make people happy, and they keep us safe. McSM is a high quality teacher because they are the reason I went up in the iReady diagnostic. Without McSM, none of us would have passed any of the tests that they have given us, especially on the standard mastery check. When I found out McSM and McSam got fired, I was raging because I thought you guys were being really selfish. I want to tell the district to focus more on how they're affecting other people's feelings. McSM has the ability to understand and treat us as individual people and not as just one group of students. They treat us with respect and kindness. Therefore, I see no reason why they need to lose their job. Based on the diagnostic for the end of the year, everyone did amazing and better than the diagnostic at the beginning of the year. In some situations, students even went up to the 7th and 8th grade on the diagnostic. I ask that the people making this decision choose carefully, because this is a real life situation and not a game that you can restart. And again, as a community member and previous Providence School student, I ask you to reconsider your decision to non-renew these teachers. These students need them, and without them, they are not going to show up and they are not going to continue their education.
Thank you.
Shannon McLeod.
Thank you. Yes, I'll try to talk fast. My name is Shannon McLeod. I'm the Vice President of High Schools for the PTU. I'm also an English teacher leader in the district. And very recently, like 3 weeks ago, I received my MA in English Language Arts teaching for MLL students. So I'm actually coming to you with that in mind today. When it comes to our MLLs, especially at the high school level, I'm very passionate that we advocate for what's necessary for them. PPSD is teaching AP seminar to long-term MLLs, which are students who have been in the program for 6 years and are no longer receiving MLL services. However, they don't elect to take it. They're kind of stuck because they've taken all the other ELD levels that we have and there's nothing left for them. They haven't received an exit score on the access test, which, as we know, those I think went from 4.5 to 4.9 recently, so that keeps changing. The goalposts keep moving. So another issue is with this course is that if students do pass this AP exam at the end of the year, colleges don't accept it as college credit. So even if our kids get a 4 on this exam, because we don't offer the other half of the capstone process for AP, our kids are sitting through a 3-hour exam for nothing. I don't understand why we're asking students to take a class and a stressful exam that won't give them that college credit. I can't find anything that shows that AP seminar is appropriate for language acquisition. When this first came up, Carol Pagan, who at the time was serving as a vice president of special pops for the union, and we both spoke with the ML director about this, and she was unable to show us anything that showed that this would help language acquisition. I would actually stress that the district's PBDA course, which was revamped prior to COVID, would be a far more effective way of supporting our students when it comes to the 4 language domains. In fact, the district rubric for this was created with AP capstone standards in mind, but it takes away the very expensive cost of AP testing and the unnecessary stress of a high-stakes test. AP classes should be something students elect to take, not something they have to take in place of a language class. And I know personally for me, I teach an EEP class for PCTA, and I have ML students elect to take that all the time. They do wonderful, so this isn't me saying they shouldn't have access to these courses, but they should want to take them. I also wonder, now that the district has a new ELD curriculum, do we need an AP seminar for the language acquisition course? Could these long-term ML students use the highest level of that curriculum because they've never seen it? So maybe that could help them more with their second language acquisition. I know we have summer on the brain, but as a teacher, I'm already on to next year, guys. I've been planning. So I really hope something can be done to give these students options without wasting crucial student time and giving them the language supports they actually need. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Pamela Montes.
That's you.
Okay, you have 3 minutes, okay? Please read your name for the record.
Hello, my name is Pamela Montez. I'm a Providence resident. I grew up in Providence and was a PPSD student, and I currently work in higher education at Rhode Island College. Sam Wallace is a close friend of mine, and I know how passionate they are about their students and teaching. So let's get one thing straight here. I'm sure after hearing all of these testimonies, we can all agree in this room that these teachers are not doing poorly. They're going above and beyond. The non-renewals are a big mistake, and it is targeted to the LGBTQ plus community. They'll be taking away teachers that would have had me looking forward to go to school every day. So Sam, I'm gonna read a student testimony now. Sam works hard with teaching, helps with grading subs assignments, and very sweet. They love their job and have dedication. Them losing their job is extremely horrible and feels targeting, since most teachers being fired are all LGBTQ plus ones. It is unfair treatment to them and everyone else affected by this. To the people making this choice, I hope you guys know how much Sam impacts this school, helps students, teachers, their coworkers, and subs. They have made good impacts to teachers and kids, and they deserve to keep doing what makes them happy. To a lot of people, and not just me, sees this action as a movement against LGBTQ staff, which can be horrible and make LGBTQ kids feel terrible. All I'm saying is Sam is a good teacher, and everyone who is getting fired deserves to keep their jobs. They have all impacted someone, and it means a lot to keep them. Sam is a good member of the PPSD, and so are others getting fired. They deserve to keep working. Just another one. Sam has been nothing but kind to me and my other classmates all school year. Although we don't constantly agree or get along, I've met very few teachers as patient and understanding as Sam has been. I can tell they really do love their job, even on bad days. To take that away seems very unfair and inhumane. Here's from another student. They are the best library teacher, and they, non-binary, they need to stay in the Del Sesto. Miss Sam is a special part in the Del Sesto. I don't think they should fire them. Sam is the best teacher. They shouldn't lose their job. Students like Sam's class a lot. I have Sam's classes and they teaches a lot of stuff. So Sam shouldn't lose their job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jake Bogatz. Jake Bogatz.
Hello.
Please read your name for the record in 3 minutes.
I am Jake Bogatz. I am a former PPSD teacher. I'm a member of Seven Stars Workers United and UFCW Local 328, and I am the labor chair of the Rhode Island DSA. I thought I would tell a story to start this. In the wake of Pride Month and these 3 non-binary educators being targeted for their organizing. All right. In February 1989, activists with the AIDS Coalition to Unleash Power went to Bethesda, Maryland to demand that the FDA approve the experimental drug DHPG for use among those dying from AIDS. Activists had figured out that DHPG could help people suffering from AIDS, in particular to help people from going blind. The FDA committee was reticent at first. They claimed that they didn't have enough data to approve the drug. The committee argued that suffering patients just needed to wait until the process was sorted out as it normally was. ACT UP did not accept this answer. They showed up to the meeting with clocks to show that time was passing and that patients did not have time to wait. Soon enough, that committee made the drug available. I tell this story during Pride Month in the wake of 3 non-binary educators being targeted for their organizing, being subjected to a drawn-out Byzantine process that is clearly designed to diminish their spirits and encourage them to give up. Instead, we are here yet again demanding that you revoke these non-renewals. One thing to learn from this story is that when a committee appeals to process and what they are able to do, you are playing pretend. You have the power to defend these teachers' jobs, but you are choosing not to. I understand that many of you are newly elected. You spend a lot more time with each other and the school district than you do with the teachers or community. I believe that many of you want to help these teachers, hence the resolution you passed in March. The school board passed a resolution stating the following. You called for a full review, urging the rescission of these non-renewals for proper vetting, requested a temporary pause and moratorium on non-renewals, and you demanded policy updates on revising fair and consistent processes. This resolution is full of deferential language. It makes it seem like the school board cannot make this call itself. Instead, you have to beg RIDE for permission. And maybe RIDE can actually dismiss these teachers without your permission, but why concede that power without testing it? I have said this before to the school board. In 2021, I was part of a cohort of teachers up for non-renewal. But then there was a sex scandal where the president of the secondary schools was arrested for assaulting a young man in a locker room. So the school board tossed out all of the non-renewals that year so that they could address the toe popper business. And there was no hearing then, and there was no deference to process. In your resolution, you demand policy updates. Why not demand these teachers keep their jobs instead of simply urge? Why not simply pass a resolution to toss out the non-renewals? Yeah, sure, maybe RIDE would fire these teachers anyway, but at least you would be on the right side of history, because from where we sit right now, you are not. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Colin. 2 minutes.
Hi, I'm Colin Whitney. I'm a middle school ESL teacher at Del Sesto Middle School, and I'm going to actually read testimony from a substitute special education teacher. However, before I do that, I just want to say on record, it's the second time I'm here speaking in support of Nick Schluter and Mix Wallace. And also, I really appreciate Stefan bringing up that it's really important to acknowledge the students and student successes, and particularly the students who fall through the cracks. Graduation is something to celebrate, but those students are graduating in spite of the education system, not because of it in Providence. And it's great that you took a picture with those students to celebrate their successes, but I sure hope you earn the right to appear in that picture, because you really need to show up here and prove that you contributed to that success. And also, before we talk about graduation, how about we talk about the quality of the education that they receive, and not just focus on kicking them out the door and on statistics and saying that this number of students graduate. Because the quality of education in Providence schools is awful. It's terrible. And I'm not talking about educators, I'm talking about the system. I'm talking about the fact that we don't have teachers in classrooms. I'm talking about the fact that the subs, you just cut their pay is gone, right? It's terrible. And on that note, I'm going to keep going with substitute teachers' testimony. I'm a special education substitute teacher in the Providence Public School District. I'm also a transgender woman, and to my knowledge, the only openly trans female faculty member in any Providence elementary school. In light of discrimination I myself have received from school admins as well as the non-renewals of 3 non-binary educators, I have chosen to remain anonymous for this statement. As a special ed substitute in PPSD, I have witnessed conditions that no person deserves to teach in, let alone learn in. An alarming amount of special education environments here lack the necessary staff to give kids the services they're entitled to. In fact, roughly half the kids I've taught across dozens of classrooms are not receiving at least one IEP service. For example, there was a months-long period at Webster Elementary where only 9 out of 55 IEP students were getting the services they are legally entitled to. Whole schools are without services, like speech therapy. At Anthony Carnevale Elementary, there was a K-2 special education room with no teacher, which for most of the year didn't even have permanent TAs in the room. There were essentially no rules, no learning taking place there. Many of these classrooms do not even have a qualified teacher assigned to them. It's incredibly common to see rooms covered for months or even a full year by an uncertified sub like me and 1 or 2 TAs, sometimes pulled in from other rooms where they are also needed. I spoke too long. I apologize to this person who wrote this gorgeous testimony. I'm not going to be able to finish it. However, I'm going to jump to the end. Here we see yet another example of an age-old labor issue. Often the workers who are in need of the most protection are entitled to the least. And like everything else that goes wrong in a school district, the ones who pay the heftiest price are the ones with the least influence over these conditions, the children themselves. But you have influence over these conditions, so I urge you to improve them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Judith Dixon. I am a district-wide speech and language pathologist. I use she, her pronouns. I just wanted to say before I read my testimony that I also do support the subs in their efforts to get better conditions. They are vital to our school community. So I'm speaking again today also to support the non-renewed teachers. A couple of weeks ago, I went to a really awesome musical at Del Sesto Middle School. I went with my 11-year-old son, who is autistic and has ADHD, and usually can't sit for anything but Minecraft. He sat through the whole musical and said his only criticism was that there weren't enough scenes. This amazing musical that showcased some excellent young talent and brought the community together on a Friday night happened because of Mix Sam and Mix M. It was obvious how involved and connected these two professionals were with their students. Mix Sam spoke to those gathered there in both English and Spanish during the intermission. As someone who has specialized in fostering language development my whole adult life, I see the immense value of having professionals in our school that speak more than one language. I am deeply troubled that these two educators will no longer be there for their students next year, even though we have a teacher recruitment and retention problem. A few days after the musical, I bumped into Brandy Tucker and discovered that they had reached their funding goal for their end-of-year field trip by having students sell popsicles after school. Brandy also spoke about being deflated because they were dealing with the realization that every end-of-year event was now the last one for them, such as the last basketball game for the team they had coached. Again, I was disturbed that an educator who clearly showed such regard for their students was being fired. As I said last time I testified, 1.6% of the population is estimated to be non-binary. There were 465 probationary teachers in Providence this school year. 1.6% of 465 is about 7. 3 of 7 is almost half of all the potential non-binary probationary teachers losing their jobs. In addition, we are losing 3 active union members who are dedicated to making conditions better for teachers and students. This feels like a deliberate attempt to stifle current and future teacher organizing. I am therefore asking tonight that we finally end this agony for these teachers who have stayed working for 4 months knowing they are non-renewed, but without any just cause. Please let the Commissioner know that it is time to work hard to reverse this injustice, to stand up for dedicated teachers, to protect speech, workplace organizing, and the right to non-discrimination based on gender identity. Thank you.
Aubrey Johnson.
Aubrey Johnson. Oh, there you go. How are you?
Good evening. My name is Aubrey Johnson. I am co-chair for the Parent Advisory Council as well as a member of the Equity Advisory Board. I am here today to talk to you about the Respect Student Equity Leadership Program. The RESPECT program, which stands for Raising Expectations for Student Perspectives, Experiences, Consciousness, and Traditions, was created and is run through the Office of Equity and Belonging, which, sidebar, is a 2-person department. 2. It consists of school leader-selected students from every middle school, every high school, and currently 3 elementary schools. It's been there for 2 years, and it started with no elementary schools, and due to demand, now we have 3. During conferences, students develop project action plans to foster equity in their school communities and are provided with tools to help motivate and empower students as they work to implement their plans, leading to them presenting their projects at a community final conference. Some examples of the student projects are improving student-teacher relations, anti-bullying, improving school culture, peer-to-peer mentoring, waste management, and identifying and understanding and combating implicit bias in schools. Now, I have been to every conference since it started. I've watched these students grow. I've seen the light bulbs go off. I've seen the excitement. I've seen the motivation. I've seen the collaboration. I say all of this and I give you all this information because last month at the school board meeting, I did hear from school board members and the superintendent about the last conference where the students did present. I heard the excitement, I heard how great it was, I heard how everybody loved it, and the students are doing such great things. The problem is they might not be able to do these great things next year because the Office of Equity and Belonging has received a budget of $2,000. That's not a budget for the Respect conferences. That's a budget for the whole department. And if you go on the website, you look under the Office of Equity and Belonging, you can see everything that they do. And $2,000 is not enough. Especially, I did some searching and I saw that in the budget, we have items such as wearing apparel for $46,000. That's proposed for next year. We have $28,000 in advertising.
30 seconds.
We have $768,561 in miscellaneous services. I could go on. My point is, $2,000 is not enough, and I need us to put our money where our mouths are. These students are doing great things. They are working outside of school. They're doing extra work. They're doing it to make change. These are our student leaders. This affects not just the students, but the community. It affects us. It's all of us. I need our money where our mouths are. I know we have trouble with money, but I know we can find the funds, and $2,000 is just not enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Faith Anaya.
Hello. Thank you. So my name is Faith Anaya, and I'm a current graduate student at URI pursuing a master's in teaching secondary math. This year I completed my student teaching at the Met in Providence. And prior to starting at URI, I served in City Year AmeriCorps for 2 years at Del Sesto Middle School. I'm actually going to finish off the testimony that Colin started from our anonymous friend. So I'm going to read that about where he left off. At Anthony Carnevale Middle School, there was a K-12 special education room with no teacher, which for most of the year didn't even have permanent TAs in the room. There were essentially no rules or learning taking place there. Many of these classrooms do not even have a qualified teacher assigned to them. It's incredibly common to see rooms covered for months or even a full year by an uncertified sub like me and 1 or 2 TAs, sometimes pulled in from other rooms where they are also needed. These types of coverages can last months or even the whole year, with many subs having to ask for help from certified teachers to write curriculums for them since one is not provided. Even when fully staffed, I've witnessed scenes eerily similar to the type of negligence of special needs children that the district preschools were recently sued for. I witnessed a K-12 special education room at Barton Gregorian where the teacher barely interacted with the kids and spent most of her time on her laptop, preferring to give them completely unstructured time, including hours of laptop usage with no supervision. She refused any help or suggestions, so I put in a complaint against her, at least the third one filed to my knowledge. And I was requested by the principal at Barton to act as a watchdog in her classroom, recording every wrong thing that she did minute by minute, so that they could use it as evidence in a theoretical action against her. It was implied to me that this would be the only way to take action against her behavior, and the principal seemed surprised when I declined based on the simple fact that my job is to teach children. I never signed up to be a part-time unpaid HR employee as well. In fact, for a role that is literally titled hard to fill, I was shocked by the amount of administrators that seem set on shunting me into other roles. At least a third of the time that I arrived ready to work with the special needs kids I signed up to work with that day, I am told by office staff that I will actually be in a gen ed room today. It's often considered to be making a small, inconsequential change or relieving me of the perceived difficulty of special ed. My unwillingness to do a job that isn't mine is often met with shock and dismissive assurances that I will still be paid the special ed rate. But for me, this isn't an issue of money. Fraudulent special ed listings are yet another way the district's special needs children are having resources diverted away from them. I started calling HR when offices refused to assign me to the special ed jobs I was called in for, and HR was surprised to hear this happens at all, let alone very consistently, and were happy to send me home with pay when it did. However, their surprise said to me that most special ed subs in the district do not have the privilege to risk losing a day of work by refusing to work outside of their job description. The offices certainly take advantage of this. I've been told by multiple offices with a wink that I won't tell HR if you won't, implying that only results of telling HR would be miss a day of work or pay the gen ed rate of $70 less per day.
Thank you.
Taylor Con Perry.
Is Taylor here? One more time.
Taylor Con Perry.
All right, if Taylor is not here, that will conclude public comment this evening. We will be moving over to items 8.1, school board member comment. Is there any members that would like to comment? Chairman.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. First, I want to thank the community for showing up today. Good evening. Back on March 19, I introduced a resolution asking the district to pause and fully review the non-renewal notice sent to non-tenure educators, including teachers and librarians. Tonight, I want to make it clear that I will be voting no, rejecting the superintendent's recommendation to move forward with this non-renewal. You want to know why? Because these educators were treated, the way they were treated is simply wrong. The process was not fair, no transparency, and no respect for at all. Saying that we want more qualified teachers without giving a clear reason or evidence is not good enough. In fact, I believe the way this was handled amounts to abuse. Many of these educators are respected by their students, co-workers. Some are LGBTQ+. Letting them go without a clear explanation, especially during this time when this community are under attack and nationwide, is deeply troubling to me. We always say we believe in equity, diversity, and inclusion. But if we truly mean that, we have to show it in how we treat our educators. That means giving them an honest evaluation, fair treatment, and also real opportunity, not just quiet removal behind the doors. This vote is it's not about this educator. It's about standing up for fairness. It's about protecting our value. It's about making sure our teachers feel safe, supported, and respected. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for coming out and speaking. And I wanted to make I voted in favor of Chair Nagabu's resolution, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the subs. I actually substituted in Alvarez High School, and a lot of the same gripes that people brought up, I had the exact same ones. It was one of the most challenging things I've ever done. I was extremely unsupported, and part of it has been the reason I decided to serve in this capacity. So I know that there's a lot of work to do regarding subs and fighting for subs. I'm hoping some of you know Maya Chavez. She actually heard a lot of my gripes and pushed me to advocate at a couple RIDE board meetings. So please find some time to get my number down. Let's have coffee and let's see what else we can do, what else I can learn about how we can make things better for subs and all teachers. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other school board member comment?